Good morning. Thank you all for your patience as we got organized here. We have our co-chair, unfortunately, is sick, so he will be joining us by Zoom. And I will ask, I wanted to say thank you to the entire committee for their thoughtfulness and their work this year. It's been a very fast and quick experience in the Children's Committee. I think we just started on the 4th of February, and here we are on the 5th of March. So thank you all for your attention and your time. And I look forward to getting our bills, JF and JFS today, and then continuing to work on them as we move forward. So I would like to turn it over to my co-chair if he can unmute, if he's possible. I just don't see him. So I will go to the ranking member.
He's there.
Oh, he's here?
Yep.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate your comments. Certainly want to echo the Senator's sentiments to everyone on the committee for your hard work this session. Like to just also give a quick shout out, of course, to our vice chairs for their hard work and collaboration with us this year. We appreciate both Representative Wielander and Senator Cohen, to our ranking members, Senator Perillo and Representative Dauphiné. And I say that that we thank you for your collaboration and your effort to being open and working with us, and of course to all of the members on both sides of the aisle. Looking forward to this meeting and looking forward to continuing the conversation around many issues on the floor. Sorry I cannot be with you all there today, but it's better for me to be home than getting anyone else sick. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Dauphiné.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I echo the thank yous to all of you, the staff throughout this session. It has been a rapid race through the last few weeks. I think we would all attest to that. And to Representative Corey Paris, who looks quite dapper for feeling unwell today, wouldn't you say? And that red, bright shirt and everything. But thank you too. We don't always agree, but we do have some very hearty discussions, and I do appreciate that. Thank you all. Looking forward to the meeting.
Okay, if that is it for our speeches, and at the end, we will thank our staff. So I just want them to know that we recognize them as well. Okay, so let me just pull up the agenda here. Bills for review. Starting with SB 6 for item number 1 on the agenda, LCO number 2815. May I have a motion for a joint favorable substitute to the floor? So moved by Senator Cohen. Second. Seconded by Representative Wielander. The changes in the substitute language are 1 in section 4. Reference to section 53-21A was removed. Section 53-21A pertains to knowingly leaving a child in a car or a place of public accommodation for a period that creates a risk to health or safety. And number 2, in section 5, subsection C, language was added to require the Commissioner of Children and Families to destroy information received by the Commissioner from the Commissioner of Education pertaining to any child that is not DCF involved. Discussion? Representative Dauphiné, followed by Representative McGee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think our chair did a good job of describing most of the bill. However, Section 5 was very problematic as seen with the individuals that came in to testify. We had dozens and dozens of people that came in to testify against Section 5. That's a problem for many, many reasons. One, I think that they did change it in the bill to say that there would be no list of names kept of those that were notified to DCF, but I'm not sure that everybody would feel comfortable and confident with just that piece of it. I think the biggest problem with that part of the bill was in particular that families would be notified to DCF and they hadn't done anything to break the law. They simply had withdrawn their children from school for whatever reason, whether it was to go to a private school, whether it was to go homeschool, or whether they were moving or the like. They simply were withdrawing their children, and that would be a trigger to notify DCF. And DCF would then do an investigation to see if they were being followed by DCF. And then, as I understood it, a note being put in their chart. So with that, Madam Chair, the clerk has an amendment. Would you please ask the clerk to distribute the amendment, and I will be allowed to summarize? Thank you. Are we okay?
Absolutely. Just need to lay it on. Oh. Sorry. Would you like to discuss the amendment? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This amendment is very, very brief, and it just simply asks that we just strike all Section 5 in its entirety from this bill, SB 6. And for many reasons, as I just laid out, but additionally, there's been a lot of question, even if this piece of the bill is even constitutional, to report somebody's name to DCF or notify DCF of someone who hasn't done anything to break the law. I think I likened it in the committee meeting to someone driving down the road, stopping at a stop sign, driving down Main Street, following the speed limit, and then a police would pull them over and say, we need to report you or notify you to the police. And they would say, well, what did I do wrong? And he said, nothing, we just need to notify you. So I think that this is appropriate for this bill. And there were, by the way, I think I already said dozens and dozens of people that came in to testify against it. Only a few supported that section. And I think that is also telling of the piece of this legislation that really is not appropriate for voting. Anyway, I would ask that this amendment be voted by roll call. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Is there any comment, discussion on the amendment? Representative Comey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have not seen the amendment, so I don't know how I am to support it.
I can read the amendment, or perhaps Representative Dauphiné can read the amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It says strike Section 5 in its entirety and renumber sections and internal references accordingly. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, oh, excuse me, Senator Perillo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. I support the amendment for a couple different reasons. A, there's a lot of good things in this bill that I would really like to support, but Section 5 isn't one of them. And I always hate situations where I can't support all of the bill, even though I like the vast majority of it, because I think there's some very good things in here. That said, I don't, how do I say this really nicely? I just don't trust the state of Connecticut's insatiable appetite to get involved in people's lives. And this section as drafted right now is, to me, it's just the camel's nose under the tent. I've heard argument that basically that said it's not that bad. Okay, that's fine. But I just see this as step one to practices that are even more intrusive than what is already here. I see worlds where lists are created. I see worlds where families are ostracized, isn't the word. I see a world where families are treated differently because of the choices they've made and how they're going to educate their children. And I think that's a problem. So like I said, so I support the amendment. I think this bill would be much cleaner, much more effective if it weren't included. I know there are other bills in this building that are addressing this issue of removing children from schools and homeschooling. One of those bills is in the Education Committee, where I actually think this would probably be more relevant. So I'm going to be a yes on the amendment, and if the amendment doesn't pass, which it probably won't, I'll be a no on the bill. But it's a shame that we have to use, or not, we'd have to, we end up using one section of a bill that becomes so divisive that folks can't support the rest of it. So thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions, Representative McGee? Oh, no, is it on the amendment? Okay. Seeing none, then Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
An amendment has been made, or amendment has been called marked A, LCO 1889. Representative Paris? Oh. An amendment has been called marked A, Representative Paris?
Paris is a no.
Senator Marr?
Senator Marr votes no.
Representative Welander?
Representative Welander votes no.
Senator Cohen?
Senator Cohen votes no.
Representative Dauphiné?
Rep. Dauphiné votes yes.
Senator Perillo?
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Belton?
Belton votes no.
Representative Boyd? Representative Comey?
Representative Comey votes no.
Representative Kitt?
Representative Kitt votes no.
Senator Kushner? Representative Lanu?
Yes.
Senator Marks?
Senator Marks votes no.
Representative Martinez?
Representative Martinez votes no.
Representative Mastro Francesco? Representative McGee?
No.
Representative Pizzuto?
Yes.
Votes will be held open after the meeting. No, we can't on amendment. No, sorry, apologies. You're right. Did we, Senator Perillo, did you get a chance to vote? Did I hear, call your name? Okay, good. Then we can call the roll. Sorry, hang on one second. Sorry, Madam Clerk.
The yeas are 4 and
Yes, I meant to say the tally. I apologize.
the yeas are 4, the nays are 11. The amendment does not pass.
Thank you. Moving on to comments on the bill, Representative McGee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are really great things in SB 6, and I know that we have been provided with substitute language for Section 5, which I am comfortable with voting on today because I think careful consideration has been taken. However, discussion around constitutionality, that's a word, but the discussion around the confinements of constitutionality is very important to me. So I will be journeying with this bill until we bring it to the floor. I will be voting it out of committee today, but I will be continuously following it.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Cohen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I too just want to echo some of the comments of Representative McGee, and applaud you for all of your work on this bill. I know you've worked really hard on it. And as we've heard from both sides of the aisle, there are some really great components of this bill. I happen to like the bill on the whole. I think it protects children, which is the goal of this committee. And I know is your charge. You feel very seriously about your charge in doing so. So I want to commend your work. And I know that you will work on this going forward. I know that these concerns that have been raised around Section 5 are not going ignored. It's evidenced from not only the substitute language today, but from your previous work on this committee and your willingness to get things right. And so I know that you'll be working with SDE. I know that you'll be working with DCF and others to appease some of the concerns going forward while still maintaining the integrity of the bill and what you're trying to do here. So just wanted to say that I'll be a yes today, a resounding yes, with the knowledge that this will be worked on as we move through the legislative process. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Paris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the opportunity to just address this. I just wanted to say that I agree and with the sentiments that have been shared by our good Senate Vice Chair and also Representative McGee. And I think overall for this bill, the intent of it, especially for the substitute language, is to strengthen economic supports for families across our state and improve child safety protections. But of course, with all good bills, there's a lot to still work through. And with there being the continuing conversation around public discourse as it relates to Section 5, I also know that that is a continuing process and we'll continue to work through that process. And I just wanted to commend you and our Senate colleagues on this Senate legislation that works to help families and all the other sections, and hopefully we'll be able to have some collaboration on Section 5 moving forward. But I will be voting to get it out of the committee and continuing the debate moving forward. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lanoue, followed by Representative Comey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm concerned, of course, with the Section 5. We have a good piece of, aside from Section 5, we have a piece of legislation here that many of us can wrap our arms around, that we both support, both parties, Republican, Democrat, and that has so many good components to this. Obviously, Section 5 is a problem for many of us. If this should have been carved out, we can have a discussion on that as a separate piece of legislation. I thought the prior amendment would have taken care of that. So I'm disappointed that amendment didn't pass. We just had a hearing on this Tuesday, and we went from being here in person. Many homeschool parents took the time to come up here, really in adverse weather conditions. We understand it shut down. People had to go home. A lot of people missed the hearing. A lot of people didn't get it in totality, myself included, going from in-person back to remote. So I have some issues with that process. Madam Chair, what we're doing here, what I'm afraid of, we're opening up Pandora's box, and we're implicating a bunch of people, a bunch of families that have done nothing wrong. They simply they may want to withdraw their children from school, homeschool their children, which is their God-given constitutional right under the state of Connecticut and in the United States Constitution. And somehow we're going to put them on they're going to be sent, they're going to have to do a referral to SDE from the local district to the State Department of Education over to DCF to see, to do a check on these people. Really does not make a lot of sense to me, especially we have testimony from the Commissioner of Education, from the State Department of Education, saying they cannot accommodate this request. This is too big of an ask. There's too great of a population to be able to properly funnel all these forms through this process. And again, most that are going to come back with a no find. People have done nothing wrong, but yet they're going to be in this big question mark of a box. Where is their information going to go? Now, I understand your substitute language, and I appreciate it, where you said that they're going to destroy the information, right? How are they going to destroy it? Is it and how is it transferred? Are they going to do it electronically? Or is it going to be these paper copies are going to be shuffled back and forth between the local district to the to SDE to DCF? There's going to be this big shuffling process. And again, I echo what my my Senate colleague from the Senate, my former House colleague, Senator Perillo said. I see lists getting created. I see these people being put on lists, and I see, unfortunately, I'm concerned with Pandora's box. I think what we should look at is, instead of rushing into something and potentially doing harm to a lot of families and a lot of people who have done nothing wrong, I think we should put the brakes on. And what we should do is have a study and do this within a short period of time, have the commissioner of DCF, have the attorney general, and have the commissioner of education look at the practicality. And what we need to look at specifically, and I want to be clear on this, is that children and the families who are where there's substantiated claims of where there's children that are in protective services and protective supervision, and there's, again, substantiated fines, substantiated claims of some sort of wrongdoing, right? That's those folks, that's currently rests within DCF. DCF has those names, right? And that's already established. What I think we should look at is have these three entities, or the AJ, the commissioners of DCF and education, look at the practicality with those specific populations, instead of going from the local district to SDE to DCF. Let's do it where we implicating a bunch of innocent people. Let's take these specific populations of these substantiated claims that are with DCF, look at the practicality go from DCF to SDE, give it to the local districts. So if one of these particular children withdraw from public school that are in protective services that are already established in those particular cases, then the local district can notify DCF, and SDA can notify DCF and say, hey, these kids that are already a concern, where there's substantiated claims, has withdrawn from the school. So that can heighten DCF. Again, kids and families who are already within DCF. But to take a bunch of innocent families and people have done nothing wrong and create potential lists and have them be into the DCF web does not make a lot of sense to me. So Madam Chair, the clerk has an amendment, and I would ask that the clerk distribute the amendment and I'd be allowed to summarize.
Clerk, please distribute the amendment, and Representative, please summarize.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I gave you a promotion. So what this amendment simply does is allow the DCF commissioner, the education commissioner, as well as the attorney general to study the practicality to be able to have DCF share with the local school districts and with SDE the families and their kids who are in protective services, alerting them which kids are in protective services that have substantiated claims. And that's what the amendment does. They have to report back by January 1st, 2027. That will be the underlying language of Section 5, and everything else gets stricken from Section 5, and it's replaced with this study. And it's practical, it makes sense, and it's just a way to examine this and not implicate a bunch of innocent families. So I do ask, Madam Chair, when the vote be taken by roll call.
Thank you, Representative. Any other discussion on the amendment? Representative Dauphiné.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the amendment in front of us. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think, first of all, the study would answer and clarify all the questions of constitutionality that we have, and in fact, look at this process and see if this is constitutional or not. It seems like the reverse of what is in Section 5 at this moment in time. It makes sense to me. And having everybody on board, that would be the commissioner of DCF, the commissioner of SDE, and the attorney general. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I urge my colleagues to support it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Comey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. May I have the amendment read out loud, please?
Yes, we are also, the clerk is distributing it by email as well to the members of the committee. Representative Comey, would you like me to nonetheless read it, or would you prefer to wait to the email?
Well, I think I would like to see it before we vote on it.
Okay, so in the interim, why don't we go to other comments, and then if you have not gotten it, I will read it out loud. Is that feasible? Does that work for you? Okay, thank you. Who wanted to speak? Representative Wieslander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just have a question or two for the proponent of the amendment.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So am I understanding this correctly, that this would be asking to have the Commissioner of Education, the AG, and the Commissioner of DCF to study basically the FERPA law?
That'd be certainly a component of it, to see if this is a violation of federal law, is it, and the process of going from DCF through education to the local districts, if that's the better way for these particular group of kids and families that are already in protective services and have substantiated claims.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about whether or not we need to needing an actual study to get that information. I believe that this is something that could be answered directly from the agencies. I'm not sure if that's something that needs to be done in statute. But I will continue to look at the words and listen to the discussion. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, and if I may, Madam Chair, and I appreciate the question, but again, what we're doing here today is we're not studying this. We're saying this is going to happen. We're putting this in place where we're going to essentially any kid that's withdrawn from public school for any reason. And again, a lot of it may relate to homeschooling, families that did absolutely nothing wrong and want to exercise their God-given constitutional rights are going to get put into this system. And it's going to bog down the Department of Education. The commissioner clearly put in her testimony, we cannot support this in every single case. So we need to, DCF already has certain children and certain families in their database that's already in protective services that have the substantiated claim. So that work is already done. And those are the ones that are at the heightened alert. So this is studying it to make sure if we can do that kind of process, we do it right. The underlying language, what we have before us, which currently in Section 5 is no study at all. We're putting this into a motion of law, where if this passes the way that it is, this is going to implicate a lot of innocent people. That's why I think we need to be cautious. Let's do the study. Let's look at the families that are of biggest concern, the substantiated claims, those that are in protective services and protective supervision. But we want to make sure we get it right, and that's why the study is so crucial, but just in this very short time frame.
Thank you, Representative Lanu. Representative Wieslander for the second question.
Thank you. I appreciate the response from the proponent, and just wanted to state that I do believe that it is allowable under state or under the existing FERPA law for the Department of Children and Families to communicate with the Department of Education in certain circumstances. So again, I'm not sure what the study would actually accomplish, but I appreciate the discussion. Thank you.
Well, I think there is some question on that because the Commissioner of Education did say under the existing language that there could be a violation of the FERPA in federal law. So there is a question. The Education Commissioner submitted that testimony. So I think the jury's still out on that, and I think that's why we need to get the key principals in the room here to give us a cohesive answer.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Paris online, followed by Representative Mastro Francesco and Senator Perillo.
Madam Chair, I can yield my time to the good Representative Mastro Francesco and Senator Perillo and wait until the end to give my comments. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Representative Mastro Francesco.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I fully support this amendment. You know, we pass studies in this legislature like we're handing out candy. There's absolutely no reason why this cannot be put in and this cannot be approved. I want you to think just for a moment that what we're doing here today, we're making a decision that will have a profound effect on thousands of families in this state. And yet we don't even want to give them the courtesy of doing a study first. This is a big deal. This section of this bill is a big deal. It should have a study. It should be discussed. We've heard a lot of testimony from the DCF, Department of Education, from many parents, and yet the arrogance of this body to just go ahead and just pass something like this that has such a profound effect on people is mind-boggling to me. We do studies all the time. We pass them in the legislature, and guess what? Half of those studies don't even take effect. They don't even happen. And yet we're being told that what the purpose of the study is. Yeah, the purpose of this study is very significant. It's such common sense. This bill, this section, honestly, in my opinion, is an abuse of legislative power that's affecting so many thousands of families. So seriously, people, think about it. What's wrong with the study? Are you that hell-bent on passing this law without giving parents and families the opportunity and the people to at least have a study on it? Thank you, Madam Chair. And
Thank
I know
you.
my good chairman of the, he wanted to wait until I was done because he probably wanted to dispute what I said, but I could go a second round. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Perillo.
Madam Chair, thank you. You know, as recently as 5 minutes ago, I told somebody here that I was going to vote against this amendment. But this is one of those rare instances where the debate actually changed my mind. So thank you. You know, we pass studies all the time. And I would say 50 to 75% of the time, they don't really do anything. They don't really matter. But this one really does. This one really does. We heard testimony that what Section 5 of this bill does may be illegal. Yet, to the representative's point, the proposer of the amendment said, very good point. The underlying bill, Section 5, as stated right now, says it's not optional, says we must pass this information back and forth. Yet we have testimony from an agency that says it's probably not legal. So the bill's not optional. And when you hear that kind of testimony from an agency, it seems like common sense to me that we would pause and say, well, wait a second, maybe we can't do this. And when we have those moments here where we're not sure, we typically do a study. And to the gentleman's point, now would be an appropriate time to do that. There's an awful lot of uncertainty here. We can debate the merits of Section 5 and whether or not it should be done or not done, all good. But beyond that, this is just a common sense approach to addressing this issue. Even if you support what Section 5 does, wouldn't you want to at least make sure it's legal? That's all the gentleman's asking for in his amendment. And it doesn't seem like a big reach, because if we're going to do something, we ought to do it right, and we certainly ought to do it in a way that is legal. So I do support the amendment, and I thank the gentleman for proposing it.
I am actually going to take my my opportunity to speak since I have not, and I've been, air traffic controlling. I wanted to just say that I absolutely understand the testimony of the commissioner of the State Department of Education. And that did give me pause. And of course, I did go back and ask for an understanding from a legal perspective, because I do not want to put forth any language that is going to be unconstitutional. And I was told that there are exceptions within child welfare. Therefore, I'm going to ask everyone to vote against this amendment, just so that people know. And with the understanding that we will continue to look at this. This is a work in progress. We know, I've read the emails from the families. I take what they had to say in the public hearing very seriously. This is something that we will continue to work on, but I urge my colleagues to vote against the amendment. Senator Perillo.
Madam Chair, thank you. And I appreciate that you went back, did some homework, and as I would expect you to. And you were told. The problem is I wasn't, and nobody else here was. So we as a committee can only act on the testimony that was shared with us. So I am grateful for the work that you've done on this, but that wasn't really shared with, it certainly wasn't shared with me, and I'm the Senate ranking member of this place. So if it wasn't shared with me, I would imagine it wasn't shared with most of the rank and file members of this committee either. So thank you, though.
Thank you. Representative Dauphiné.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for indulging me a second time. Two things jumped out at me with this amendment, and I just want to remind everybody, when I questioned this in committee, this move would be unprecedented. Unprecedented. Never before, never ever before did we take the name of someone who had done nothing wrong, hadn't been proven guilty. We're always supposed to presume innocence until proven guilty. They haven't done anything wrong, and their name is going to be given to DCF. And when I asked them, they said, no, that's never been done. I think we're going down a deep, dark, scary road here with this precedent that we're going to set if we start doing this. And additionally, I just want to say overwhelmingly, the people that came to testify did not want this. Overwhelmingly. Do we represent the people, or do we represent what we think? What we think is best for you. We're supposed to listen to you. I have found that this legislature, the majority party, has been shoving things down our throat all session long. And this is just another thing. It doesn't matter that all of you came out to testify to say, no, we don't want this. We don't want this. We're going to do it anyway. I'm sorry for that. I'm a hard no on this SB 6, and I would support this amendment 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Lanoue.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to respond to your comments briefly, and also echo what the Rankin Senate member said, as far as what your report and as far as exceptions with kids who are in child welfare. I too was not informed of this, did not know of this. But assuming if there's exceptions for children who are in child welfare, what part of what this amendment speaks
Excuse me,
to?
I'm so sorry, Representative. Not in child welfare, for the welfare of the child. That's a different understanding. Excuse me. Just wanted to clarify that.
All right. So the I appreciate that, but again, I was not told this. But again, what we're looking at here is the part of what this study would look at is already kids who are already identified who are in the child welfare system that are being looked at for substantiated claims in the protective services, that this population, this vulnerable population, those are the ones that need to be the focus, not bringing in a whole plethora of other innocent people that have done nothing wrong, haven't been accused of anything, but as Rep. Dauphiné said, are going to now be implicated and be put into the DCF pipeline. So again, I just wanted to say clearly for the record, when we talk about exceptions in child welfare, the kids we want to look at are the kids who are already identified and are in child welfare, with substantiated claims of protective services and protective supervision. So again, that's what the study aims to do, is again have a flow chart from DCF to the local district, not the other way around. Essentially, making sure people's constitutional rights are still protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments? Representative Paris, did you wish to speak? You had said you would speak after.
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. I think I can rest on my comments. I just didn't want to give the satisfaction Representative Master Francesco for being right, ma'am. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no, excuse me, Representative Pizzuto.
Sorry, Madam Chair, just quickly. It was mentioned about exceptions for the children in child welfare. Do we know what those are? Again, I think we're presuming that you're guilty until innocence, and that term was used. And I digress to the Waterbury incident in yesterday's paper, talked about how the principal of the school was notified about 12 times, or he notified DCF about 12 times, and they're backlogged and they're so overloaded. I can't imagine sending hundreds of students who are asked by their parents to go to a private school or to be homeschooled to then add that caseload. And we know there was abuse of some kind and they couldn't get to it. So I'm concerned, and I'd like to know what the exceptions are through child welfare, if you can. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, were you waiting for me?
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay. No, just
Apologies.
it was brought up about child welfare. There were some exceptions, if we can find out what those are.
Okay,
Thank you.
so first off, I want to say, as I said earlier, that when I heard this, that FERPA was a problem, I did go and ask, is this the case? And I asked for that information. So did I share that information that I gained on Tuesday with the committee? No, I did not. That's a fault perhaps of mine. I apologize for that. But what it says is not, it's not a whole listing of child welfare. It says there are exceptions with child welfare. In other words, for the welfare of the child. That is what I can't elaborate on that. That is what I was told. There are exceptions in FERPA for the welfare of the child, in regards to the welfare of the child.
Not something that's itemized then.
It is
Yeah.
not an itemized thing. No, it is not, sir. Thank you. Did you want to say something? Okay. If everyone has had their comments.
Madam Chair, Senator Cohen.
No, I'm talking to Senator Cohen, and that was a mistake. Thank you, though. I appreciate it, Code. Okay, seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
An amendment has been called marked B. Representative Paris,
Paris votes no.
Senator Marr,
Senator Marr votes no.
Representative Wiellander,
Wiellander votes no.
Senator Cohen,
Cohen votes no.
Representative Dauphiné,
Rep. Dauphiné votes yes.
Senator Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Belton,
Belton votes no.
Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes no.
Representative Kitt,
One second.
Representative Kit, you're muted.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Matt. An event right now. I want you all to say hello to the good people of Trumbull who just won a Democracy Cup. I vote yes on SB 6.
This is for Amendment
My
B.
former colleagues.
Oh, my apologies. If it's Amendment B, then I vote no.
Senator Kushner? Representative Lanu?
I think, yes.
Senator Marks?
No.
Representative Martinez?
No.
Representative Mastro Francesco?
Yes.
Representative McGee?
Yes.
Representative Pizzuto?
Yes.
The yeas are 6, the nays are 9. The amendment fails.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Now, if there are no other things, we will continue our conversation on and discussion on the SB 6. And I believe that Representative Comey, you had your hand up, and also Representative Belton. Did you want to continue?
I would be happy to continue, but I just am waiting for some more amendments, if that's the case, before I comment.
No more amendments. So therefore, it's the discussion on the bill. Unless there is no other discussion, in which case we will, excuse me, Representative Duffin.
I just wanted to, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share some information that I got from somebody who I know is an attorney, that this piece, Section 5, is unconstitutional, and that the only time the state can step in is if there's abuse and neglect. They don't just jump in and act on something where there's no abuse and neglect or no thought of it, any abuse and neglect. And I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me.
Representative Comey.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. You know, it's difficult because I really appreciate the intent of Senate Bill 6 as an important priority bill for your caucus, and to all the work that the good Senate co-chair put into it. And I've just been through some of these conversations, and I'm left with a few more questions than answers. Excuse me for a second. I think this bill has a lot of good parts, and that keeping, you know, our children and their well-being is an important part of, you know, keeping them in the center of our policy. And on the other hand, this is a short session, and limitations have us up against the wall as far as our deadlines. So I too, and I know there's not a person here who's not concerned about the potential unconstitutionality of what we're asking our Department of Education to do. And I certainly don't want to see these issues being brought into a legal arena. I know that we all really care deeply about what our mandate is as a committee, and to look out for the kids in this state. So I really want to see us continue to work on this. I mean, I also sit on education, and we are seeing this in the education committee, and there is overlap with what we're seeing, and the process will continue next week on the education committee. And there will be many more opportunities for the public and for families to be heard from. But as we mentioned, our committee deadline, I guess, is today, and we have to move on this morning. So I will vote to support this bill out of the committee, but I'm not, you know, I really need us to commit, and I know that the co-chair, our Senate co-chair, will ensure that if we can't come to a place where we're all comfortable with that, this will not be, you know, that I reserve the right to vote against it on the House floor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative. And you do have my very honest plan and commitment to continue to work on this bill. We want to make sure that we are keeping children safe, and we want to do it in a way that allows for that to happen. So we do not want to get into debates or legal wrangling over keeping children safe, and we will address it as we move forward in the work that we're doing.
And I'm sorry, I do have a question for you though before. Madam Chair, I was vice chairing another meeting when the beginning of our public hearing happened in this, and I did see the DCF commissioner or interim commissioner testifying, but I didn't notice if the Department of, if our Commissioner of Education had come in front of this committee other than just submitting written testimony. So that's just a question, out of curiosity for me. And as to, have you discussed that with their team? Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question. No, the Commissioner of Education did not come before this committee. They submitted written testimony, but no public testimony. Representative McGee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my concerns remain the same, and I guess my question would be, were there conversations prior with the Commissioner of Education to that public hearing? Because there's a lot of work that goes into what we create, establish, implement, in the creation of what we do here. So that would be my question. And then, why obviously there seems to be like a lack of communication. Her testimony is pretty strong. It's pretty forward. It just seems as though it'll be difficult to commit and be in compliance with what Section 5 would require of SDE. And my concern is with the already compounding negative implications of the federal government on our departments of education is putting our SDE in a position that would jeopardize money. So that is my concern. And, I'm on the fence, but, moving forward, especially with the Commissioner of Education, someone that I really believe is great in this position and I trust, I really believe obviously that these conversations, while it's important that we have them from JFing to the floor, that we have them prior so that we don't end up in a very difficult, challenging situation. So I thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank you for your efforts, because I really do believe that your intent, as I said the other night, is not to attack or harm anyone. I really do believe that you care about the safety of children across the state of Connecticut. I do believe that. So I thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, we did not receive, I did not receive directly, nor had any conversations with the commissioner prior to her submitting testimony. Representative Belton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just want to say on record that I really appreciate the intent of this bill. I think everybody in this committee, we really care about the safety of our children in this state. But I have a real concern about Section 5. If the Department of Education is telling us that, this language could put them in conflict with federal law, I think we need to take that seriously. And I hear that you are saying, and I trust that you will do what's needed to work on this bill. But I just wanted to go on record saying that I reserve my right to vote no on the floor if this bill isn't strengthened in a way, that supports what the commissioner's judgment was. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Representative. Seeing no other, I thought I was going to get away here to call the roll. Yes, Representative Lanoue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say again, as far as the underlying bill goes, I'm hearing conversation. A lot of us, we have concerns, but we're gonna pass it out of committee now with the hope that the bill will get fixed later on the floor. what we're saying when we're voting for this here, what we're putting our stamp of approval on this, we're saying this is good, solid law. We as a committee are behind this. And the way this bill got passed out of committee is good enough to go. And I think there's a lot of questions. I think it's very dangerous for us to vote on something with the hope that'll change later. And for me as a legislator, I say all the time, yesterday's a canceled check, tomorrow's a promissory note, today is cash. I have to vote with what's in front of me. And unfortunately, there's gonna be a lot of innocent families here who could get hurt, who could get implicated, who could be on lists, or who knows where Pandora's box is going with this. So I cannot, in good conscience, vote and support something with the hope that we're going to change it later. So for those reasons, I'll be no on the underlying bill.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wielander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the comments of all of my colleagues that are on the committee. It's always good to have a robust discussion about important policy. And I just wanted to share my thoughts that this is a bill that has some pretty amazing things in it. We have the child tax credit, we have school meals, we have an updated basis for support for better data and better communication within our agencies in our state, so we can better support the youth that are the disconnected youth. That's a broad term, but we want to make sure that we're providing the opportunities for all of our children so that they can move forward and be safe and successful. So I do understand that there are a lot of complicated points in this, but we do have time once we get out of committee. We are looking at one of the earliest deadlines, and it allows us to take a breather and look and have continued deep, thoughtful conversations about the policies that are in this bill and every other proposal that has come out of committee so far. So I do appreciate the work that has been put in so far. And I really look forward to continuing to hear the thoughts and concerns from my colleagues on both sides of the aisle. And I'm, happy to be part of that in any way, shape, or form. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Oh, Representative Mastro Francesco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't help myself. I just, real quickly, because Representative Wielander did bring up a good point. There are some really good things in this bill. The tax credit, obviously we want kids to go to school not hungry, the ones that truly need it. But sometimes, and what happens oftentimes in this building is that there's some good parts to a bill, but there's a part in there that is so egregious, that it is so bad, you have to overlook the other things. And this, Madam Chair, is one of those cases. I think everybody here probably supports a tax credit. Who doesn't, right? People are overtaxed already, but sometimes things are just so bad and so egregious in a bill that you just can't support it. You have to kind of overlook it. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on that, but I thank you for bringing that to our attention. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative. So just to restate, I agree. The child tax credit, really important. The component of making sure that children have full stomachs and ready to learn and ready to grow up and help take care of us in this state, to run this state, to participate in whatever way they want, which they can't do if they can't learn. Those are really important pieces. I have heard very clearly the concerns of the committee, and absolutely commit to continue to work on this as we move forward, and to work with you as we have been doing based on the input from emails from other colleagues in the assembly. We will do that. However, I would like to vote on the bill. So if everyone is okay, then we will have the Madam Clerk please call the roll.
A motion has been made and seconded to JFS to the floor, agenda item 1, SB 6, LCO number 2815, an act concerning supports for children and families. Representative Paris?
Paris is a yes.
Senator Marr?
Senator Marr votes yes.
Representative Wielander?
Representative Wielander votes yes.
Senator Cohen?
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné?
Rep. Dauphiné votes no.
Senator Perillo?
Perillo votes no.
Representative Belton?
Belton, yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Kit,
Representative Kit votes yes.
Senator Kushner, Representative Lanu,
No.
Senator Marks,
Yes.
Representative Martinez,
Yes.
Representative Mastro Francesco,
Master Francesco votes no.
Representative McGee, Representative McGee,
The most hesitant and concerned, and let's include Dr. Tucker in conversation after this, yes.
Representative Pizzuto.
Rep. Pizzuto, no.
Thank you.
Votes will be held open after the meeting. Oh, I'm sorry, until when? Well, I don't know what time we're ending our meeting. For an hour after the meeting. Thank you. Okay, moving on to SB number 2 on the agenda, Senate Bill 344. May I please have a motion for joint favorable to the floor? So moved by Senator Cohen, seconded by Representative Dauphiné. Is there any discussion? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I can absolutely explain it. This is a bill which requires active consent on social media. I mean, for the image of a child in, for example, any kind of sports, or it takes away the passive consent expectation of businesses and sports and any other place where children's images are being used and the parent has no control over that image. Representative Dauphiné.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for that explanation. We did hear testimony, actually at length testimony with regard to what is going on when with the media, photographs of children, and they gave a very good explanation of the dangers that are going on. So I think this is a really, really good bill, and I will be supporting it today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
A motion has been made and seconded to JF to the floor, Agenda Item 2, SB 344, an act protecting children's safety by requiring affirmative consent by a parent or guardian for the use of a child's likeness on social media. Representative Paris,
Paris is a yes.
Senator Marr,
Senator Marr votes yes.
Representative Wieslander,
Wieslander votes yes.
Senator Cohen,
Cohen votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Rep. Dauphiné votes yes.
Senator Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Belton,
Belton votes yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Kit, Senator Kushner, Representative Lanu,
Yes.
Senator Marks, Representative Martinez,
Yes.
Representative Mastro Francesco,
Yes.
Representative McGee,
Yes.
Representative Pizzuto.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. For item number 3 on the agenda, House Bill 5379, LCO number 2547. May I please have a motion for joint favorable substitute to the floor? So moved by Representative Martinez, seconded by Representative Wieslander. The change in the proposed substitute is this in language replaces the placeholder language in the original bill and requires, number one, OEC to amend its regulations to require childcare centers, group home childcare homes, and family childcare homes to conduct medical emergency drills every 6 months, and two, youth camps to conduct medical emergency drills prior to assuming responsibility for campers as a condition of licensure. Representative Martinez, would you like to speak about that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I had a teacher in Plainville reach out to me regarding the child that choked and passed away last year, the toddler in neighboring town, New Britain. And she wanted to do something more, see what we can do with our preschool programs. So I started off first by getting an OLR report just to see how in the different settings, the child care centers, the group child care and family and the camps, who was certified, if they did drills, kind of what was going on, because I know that it changes. And I got that report back and then was able to speak with the trainer that actually went to that child care center after that child passed away and worked with the center on a program going forward. And when I was able to get that information, what was glaringly obvious is that in some of the centers, people have to be certified once a year. Sometimes they have to be certified twice a year, but they never have to practice it together. So you go out, you get your CPR, your first aid, which includes Heimlich maneuver certification, and they do recommend that you refresh it, and you come back and they never have a chance to do that. And it's not only important for the certified staff to practice together, but when an emergency occurs, everybody's involved. There's going to be somebody that has to call 911. There's everybody's kind of involved in the room. So I thought, wow, it's a simple, practical way. And then I spoke with OEC, who was supported, and we did they'd actually assisted with creating the language. This bill would look to have those biannual drills, and it's by the facility, and there's no mandate, say, for OEC to go out more, or to they would be able to review this over with their annual policy that these centers had performed these drills. But I do think it's really important in a day and age where fire drills, active shooters are practiced regularly, to have a drill, especially with something as important as choking around our youngest children, would be a nice practical solution.
Thank you. Comments, discussion? Representative Duffney.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the information with regard to, what the bill has become. I'm sure it's positive and constructive. It's very sorry for the family that lost their child due to a choking accident. My concern with this bill is it was a placeholder. We call them placeholders or dummy bills, which mean they have no language, which ultimately means we're breaking the process and not allowing the public to come in and be heard. It is our job as legislators to hear from you on every single bill we pass in this building. It is our job. We're to hear what you have to say, good or bad, right or wrong. Sometimes you bring in some very constructive criticism to make a bill better. Sometimes you point out things as to why a bill might have something that doesn't sound so good. And this is what we spent hours on the House floor a couple of weeks ago with an eCert bill that came out. And our concern is that the people, the residents of Connecticut, had no voice, no opportunity to speak about what we were voting on before us. And I feel like it's very, very, very important for me to be consistent with that. I believe in the process. I believe we should follow the process. And I believe that every single resident in the state of Connecticut has a right to be heard on policy or laws or anything that we're doing. That is our job. That's why I'm here. And that will be why I will be voting no on this. I look forward to learning more, but it really is very, very, very important that we hear from you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Senator Perillo, followed by Representative Mastro Francesco and Representative Paris.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I want to echo what Representative Dauphinay said, but I sort of want to go a little bit deeper. You know, I know we had a hearing on the underlying bill, yet, and I appreciate the representatives going into great detail about the why and the what. But you know, as many of us will recall, we had a bill that impacted day camps last year. It was quite controversial. Debate, I believe, in both chambers lasted for a very long time. Madam Chair, you and I, in fact, debated this bill for quite a while. So the issue of day camps and what's required at day camps is not insignificant. Yet we have substitute language here today that impacts day camps, and I would argue we did not have an adequate public hearing on it. So to the House ranking member's point, you know, folks impacted by this, day camps, municipalities, ought to have an opportunity to know what we're voting on and have a say in what that language should look like or whether there should be any language at all. And they were denied that opportunity here. And that's unfortunate, you know, because quite honestly, the substitute language may have quite a bit of merit, and it seems to me that it does. But we just didn't really hear from the organizations impacted by it. So I can't support the bill. I wish that I could, because I wish that it had gone through the proper process and that all parties impacted had an opportunity to share their thoughts and perhaps improve the language that we see before us. But that just never happened. So, you know, and I know the leadership of the committee acted with the best intent to try and bring a product before us, and I appreciate that. But we just don't know if that's been done. So I'll be a no vote. I hope, though, that as this moves through the process, perhaps we can get input from municipalities and day camps and those who run day camps to see if this is something that is actually feasible, because I just haven't heard that feedback. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Mastro Francesco.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Madam Chair, I just want to echo the words of my ranking members. It is correct that, you know, this should have a public hearing. It's new language. I know it's a short session, but we do have a lot of time. I mean, this could have been brought up for the opportunity for the organizations, the youth camps, the daycares and so forth. For, you know, I don't know what they're doing in their daycares. It would be nice to hear from them. And obviously we want to do everything that we can to protect our children, but we can't just put policy before us without really getting input from the public. And as Senator Perillo said, there's good language in there. But again, we haven't heard from the public. For all we know, they're doing these type of drills. It's interesting in this, they want to do drills here, but then I think an education committee or a bill that was just passed or going to be passed, they're trying to do away with drills. So it's really interesting, the dynamic, but I'm going to vote no today only because the process wasn't followed. And I really believe that we need to follow the process. But what's really interesting, Madam Chair, is that, you know, many times on the House floor, a bill will come forward and the Republicans will put an amendment in. And the argument will be from the other side is that, well, that didn't have a public hearing, so we can't support your amendment. Well, because we're never given the opportunity to have a public hearing. And here we are again, putting a bill forward that didn't have a public hearing. I just think it needs a little bit more input. So, Madam Chair, for those reasons, I'll be a no today.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Paris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take a moment to address the question that has been raised about the process. And I know that the bill before us today is a placeholder vehicle, which, just for clarification for the general public's viewpoint, that allows this committee and all committees in the legislature to continue working on policy related to the germane topic at hand. And as members know, that this is a tool that is sometimes used in this process when discussions and policy development are still ongoing. And I just want to give credit to the proponent of the bill who did come to the chairs many weeks before to talk about this idea. And through a few reports through OLR, we had thought that we were already doing this in the state. And to the proponent's credit, she went out to OCE or OEC, excuse me, That's the Theraflu talking. OEC that worked with them and worked with her to try to see where we could strengthen our guardrails around some of the safety precautions and measures. And some of that information just came back a little bit later after the process because of our tight schedule. So I certainly understand and respect the concern that has been raised about the opportunity for public input. Public engagement is important, and it's part of how we shape good policy. It's been a part of the conversation with other bills, both raised from the House and the Senate. And nothing about today's action closes the door of hearing from public stakeholders or advocates or members of the public as this work continues. And in fact, I would think that the intent of using this vehicle is to ensure that we have the time and flexibility to continue those conversations as the policy develops. So overwhelmingly, we'll vote yes on this. Certainly hear the concerns of our good working members and colleagues across the aisle. But child safety is an issue that matters deeply to all of us, regardless of party. And I believe that everyone on this committee shares that goal of getting this right. And I look forward to continuing the work with members, stakeholders, and the public as we allow for this vehicle to continue that process. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Wieslander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a couple of questions, if I could, through you to the proponent of the bill, please.
Please proceed.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could expand on what you said a trainer went to the site, the daycare center, the childcare center. What kind of trainer is that? I'm not familiar.
Sure, sorry. So yes, I have this information. They've actually established a program now. What they're doing in New Britain is they are doing quarterly drills. The EMS comes out and does that. And he facilitated that plan going forward. What I was looking for is this just seemed really practical, not costly, and I wanted to put something in. Would I like to see at some point, maybe people that more certifications? Yes. But this is something that I just felt we could do immediately, that where people are practicing what they've already learned. And just to be clear for the camps, there is no more, I'm not asking for further certifications or cost to municipalities. This is just to practice what they've learned.
Thank you. I appreciate that information, and it's helpful to know that an EMS professional was, part of that training process. And I do appreciate the intent of the bill. I know, when we're talking about crisis response drills in our schools, consistency is really key in making sure that in a moment of crisis, we have our adults, our trusted adults are able to respond and react in a way that where they don't question their own actions, because that can lead to unsafe situations for the children that they are caring for. So I really appreciate this proposal and the fact that you did such strong due diligence with OLR and speaking with the agency, with OEC, and having their collaboration on the language. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Yeah, Representative Pizzuto.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the good proponent of the bill. I know you did your due diligence, and I respect that. For 20 plus years, I ran UConn, and we did a lot of this with adult students. They were all over 18. So process is critically important here, but I also think that if I'm going to err on the side of caution, I'd rather see them get some of this training than none. So and for that reason, I may vote yes. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Martinez.
I just wanted to add that I am really looking forward to hearing from and working with as many people as I can as this moves forward. It just seems like something practical that we can take action on now.
Thank you, Representative. Just if I might make a comment, this past weekend, I was with my 18-month-old grandson, and he was eating, and my son, who is a firefighter, was out of the room, and my grandson started to choke. Now, I know what to do, and I completely freaked out because here he is, he's sitting in his high chair, he's strapped in, and my mind did go to this tragedy that had happened and the bill. And I screamed for my son. Now, I have to say, I managed it. He was fine. Yes. But that being said, it was horrifying and scary. And in the moment, I lost all control about what I should be doing. And then my son afterwards, when I calmed down, showed me exactly, how to do this with a little child. So while I understand process and procedure and understand the importance of the public hearing, do not deny that in any way. I believe that this is something that will continue to keep our children safe. And for that reason, I will be voting a yes on this bill. Representative Dauphiné.
I just wanted to remind everybody that a no vote on this bill is not because we don't agree with the policy that's being trying to put in place. There's a lot that can be added to good policy, and there's a lot that can be made better in a policy that's presented, and that's the piece we missed. And the very, very important piece that we missed was hearing from the residents of Connecticut. So in no way, shape, or form does a no vote mean we don't agree that we want to address choking. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for the record.
Senator Perillo.
Yeah, and just to sort of add to that as well, I want to be able to support this if and when it comes to a vote on the Senate floor. And I'm more than happy to work with the proponent, and I wish her luck in getting this done. And I think a little bit of conversation with the interested parties can probably get us there.
Thank you, Senator. Any other comments or questions? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
A motion has been made and seconded to JFS to the floor, Agenda Item 3, HB 5379, LCO 2547, an act concerning children's programs. Representative Paris,
Harris is a yes.
Senator Marr,
Senator Marr votes yes.
Representative Wieslander,
Wieslander votes yes.
Senator Cohen,
Cohen votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Rep. Dauphiné votes no.
Senator Perillo,
Perillo votes no.
Representative Belton,
Belton votes yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Kitt, Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Lanou,
No.
Senator Marks, Representative Martinez,
Yes.
Representative Mastro Francesco,
No.
Representative McGee, Representative Pizzuto.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item number 4 on the agenda, House Bill 5004, LCO number 2769. May I please have a motion for a joint favorable substitute to the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Representative Paris and seconded by Representative Wieslander. Representative Paris, would you like to take this?
Be my great honor, Madam Chair. So as you know, we heard the public's overwhelming support of 5004, which is a House priority bill. I just also want to thank our good Republican members for, having ongoing conversations with us in terms of how to make that bill stronger and working across the aisle. We know that that's a work in progress, but we appreciate being in collaboration with y'all on this. Just the substitute language, the things that are essentially being changed are just very easy changes. We are ensuring that we're creating parity with foster care families and fictive care families and also grandparents in terms of their monthly maintenance stipend that they get from DCF and from the state. We want to create parity there. And so that substitute language does address that. And in addition, anything else is just a very minor change as we move forward. So I just want to once again thank all of the folks who have been involved in this process and who have provided feedback and clarification and clarity in terms of how we should move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Comments and questions? Representative Dauphiné.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and a special thank you to Representative Paris, we have been working very hard on this bill. There's a lot of things I like in this bill. I think it's a good bill, but we also know it's a work in progress, so I don't know where it's going to end up. I know that in the past, there's been discussions and we have been told certain things would happen and they haven't. So I'm going to kind of reserve my yes vote today and vote no, but I'm looking forward to getting the changes that we discussed and we requested and supporting it on the House floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. And given the timing, I think we can, never mind, I'll say that.
A motion has been made and seconded to JFS to the floor, agenda item 4, HB 5004, LCO number 2769, an act concerning child welfare accountability and transparency. Representative Paris,
Paris is a yes.
Senator Marr,
Senator Marr votes yes.
Representative Wieland,
Wieland votes yes.
Senator Cohen,
Cohen votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
I'm voting no today and looking forward to the commitment to the changes that we had requested, and I will reserve that for the House floor. Thank you.
Senator Perillo,
Perillo votes yes.
Representative Belton,
Belton votes yes.
Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes, and I appreciate the bipartisan approach to putting this bill forward. Thank you.
Representative Kitt,
Representative Kitt votes yes.
Senator Kushner,
Senator Kushner votes yes.
Representative Lanu, Senator Marks, Representative Martinez,
Yes.
Representative Mastro Francesco,
Master Francesco votes no, and I hope that this bill is corrected going forward so I can support it on the floor. Thank you.
Representative McGee, Representative Pizzuto.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and the votes will be held open until 1:35. So we are now in recess. This concludes the committee's business for this meeting and for the committee phase of this session. I really want to thank you all again for the work that everyone has put into this and the thoughts and ideas and concerns that were brought forward. And I want to thank our staff. So Mia Gigoletti, Christian Tolarski, Zachary Robinson, Alexandra Silva, Frederica Dampson. So the list is long because everybody, we don't do this alone. I want the public to know that we do not do this alone. Akia Callum, John Moran, Sarah Tata, Sarah O'Connor, Chris Cordima, sorry, Chris, Emily Zambrello, David Desjardins, Sarah Santone, the Sarah Heavy Committee, and Megan Prayer, thank you. Dreher, sorry, and Julia Famularo. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not do our work without you doing the work and working alongside us all the way through this. So we are now in recess.
Madam Clerk?
Hi, Senator.
Hi, will we be able to vote now?
Yes, so, sorry, one moment. It's, okay. Sorry, it was echoing on the TV, sorry. So we have, so we did have, 2 amendments on SB 6, but I was informed both by LCO and our clerk that when we, call those amendments that it gets tallied, so there won't be any, votes on that, but so the first one is, JFS to the floor, SB 6. The LCO number for that is 2815, an act concerning supports for children and families.
Senator Kushner votes yes.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Sorry.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Sorry, it got very loud in here.
That's okay.
Next, we have JF to the floor, SB 344, an act protecting children's safety by requiring affirmative consent by a parent or guardian for the use of a child's likeness on social media.
Yes. I think that's it. I had the other two votes, right?
Yes, you did.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Representative Kit, we are missing your votes for SB 344 and HB 5379.
Take care.
Madam Clerk, could you record my vote? I can't hear you, Madam Clerk. Are you muted? Can you hear
Sorry,
me?
my apologies.
I'm gonna
We're
try
missing your
to.
votes for SB 344 and HB 5379. Would you like me to read those out?
Yes.
So,
No, I would like to cast my vote in the affirmative for both bills.
I can't. Representative Kit, your network is cutting out. I can't hear you.
Please.
Representative, you're frozen. I can't hear you.
All right, shall we try this one last time?
So we have SB 344, and that's JF to the floor, an act protecting children's safety by requiring affirmative consent by a parent or guardian for the use of a child's likeness on social media.
I vote yes. Representative Kit votes yes.
And then let me just double check. We have the other ones. And then the last one is JFS to the floor, HB 5379, and this is LCO number 2547, an act concerning children's programs.
I cast my vote in the affirmative.
Right, you are good to go.
All right, and thank you for all your hard work so far this session. Take care.
Of course, thank you.
Hi.
Hi, Senator Marks. So let me just double check. So we can good on this one, good on that one. So the two we are missing, I'll just read them out for you. The first one is agenda item 3, HB 5379. This is JFS to the floor. The LCO number for this is 2547, an act concerning children's programs.
Yes.
And the last one is agenda item 4. This is JFS to the floor, HB 5004, LCO number 2769, an act concerning child welfare accountability and transparency.
Yes.
All right, you're good to go.
Thanks.